thanks. Ealing's settlement, the new settlement this year is good for Ealing. There's no question about it. I'm not going to mess about. It's good. It's a 3-year settlement, £20 million increment per year. And frankly, we should have done that when we were in government. And I'm happy to say that. And you can laugh, but I'm happy to say that. So the settlement is very good for Ealing, but of course it's not so good for Westminster, Kensington, Chelsea and Wandsworth. So they will lose revenue, Mr. Mayor, from business rates and be invited to put up council tax by an unlimited amount from 2027. Now, anyone who sees Ealing on its own is very, very short-sighted. I am concerned that all London councils under this Labour government will eventually be freed to raise council tax as much as they wish. And then we're back to that old thing, that tax and spend thing. And where does that end up? Well, it ends up with the Tories coming back to fix the whole problem. So we've got Ealing Council, we've got a tax raise of 4.9%. I've heard it put many ways, but I know also that it's been put £800 extra over the last 10 years. If you listen to the cabinet, if you listen to Councillor Donnelly and so on, you feel you're living in some kind of utopia of happy residents. Now, after 16 years of Labour, those happy residents, that cadre of happy residents, do not include, for example, council tenants who are still living with mould, people walking in the shadow of that monstrously massive building on Manor Road, which should never have gone up and which the council lost control over. Oh, businesses losing trade because of the unnecessary Stop and Shop Plus scheme. My resident, who's waited absolutely months for a straightforward building control certificate so he can pour some concrete, and I noticed Councillor Young actually mentioned building control. I don't expect to hear very much about that from Labour. And that's before, Mr. Mayor, we talk about the spectre of unemployment, which is now growing in Ealing. Now, we've had a Lib Dem amendment from our Lib Dem friends, and we agree absolutely that street sweeping, that is a community service, and we wholeheartedly agree that that should be improved. No question about it. We would reverse Stop and Shop Plus, certainly. Lockable bins for flats above shops, well, we'll see how practical that is. We'll see who gets a key to those bins. And we've already stated out that we actually supported keeping the children's centres open. That's a long time. We've stated that for a long time. So Lib Dems have got worthy aims, but they're paid for by savings in agency and contractor staff, excluding adult services, excluding public health, children's services, housing and environments. What else? And by reducing the printing bill. So we have questions about that. And I don't want to look at the situation at Windsor and Maidenhead to find the answers, okay? Because that is a council that's functionally bankrupt. Mr. Mayor, we need more than tinkering around the edges. We'll commit to a proper line-by-line spending review. We definitely, unashamedly, will promote efficiency savings, and we would certainly strengthen scrutiny over major capital projects. We're not going to support a budget that asks residents to pay 5% more while failing to demonstrate meaningful reform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Gallant. Councillor Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I go any further, I'd like to take a minute to congratulate my ward colleague, Councillor Blacker, on his final speech and 12 years of service for this borough. Although I've only been here for a small fraction of that time, it's been such a privilege to serve the residents of South Acton beside him. I couldn't have wished for a better colleague to learn from in my early days. His knowledge of all aspects of council business, whether it's parking or pigeons, continues to amaze me. I'll miss his wit, even if I still can't tell if he's joking, at least 75% of the time. I'll continue to laugh along anyway. And now, while Councillor Blacker recovers from my heartfelt tribute, I'll move on. This is the first time in 16 years that Ealing Council has been able to deliver a no-cuts frontline services budget. 16 years might sound like not that long, but that's 5 Conservative Prime Ministers and 7 Conservative Chancellors delivering Conservative, and let's not forget Lib Dem cuts. The last time this council was able to deliver a no-cuts budget, Gordon Brown was Prime Minister, and I was quite literally 13 years old. My sincerest apologies to anyone in the chamber that's made feel really old. Now, just like I did, children born in this borough get to grow up with a Labour government and a Labour council. And this budget shows exactly what difference that makes. We're making our streets safer, cleaner and clearer with a uniformed street enforcement team, improvements to street lighting, 50 new deployable CCTV cameras, a new borough tidy team and a new tow service for abandoned vehicles. We're making investments now to protect our planet and tackle the climate emergency too. With more EV charging thanks to local electric vehicle infrastructure funding and piloting reuse and recycling units across our towns. But this budget gives more than just bread, it gives roses too. With £1.6 million invested in our playgrounds for over 4 years, tens of thousands of pounds for public art strategy and culture hubs, ensuring every single resident in this borough can access the arts. And we're protecting Ealing's history with a 43,000 investment in the chapels designed by Ealing Council's first architect at South Ealing Cemetery. And I suppose it is worth briefly commenting on the opposition amendment. As I was reading through, I couldn't help but think quite a lot of it sounded familiar. Investing in resources to combat fly tipping, an introduction of community recycling units, investment in our roads. And I guess, as Lib Dems do say, imitation is the highest form of flattery. But it is giving an opposition party that's out of ideas and knows that Ealing Labour are best equipped to deliver for this borough. This budget shows, thanks to the help given by the Labour government, that Ealing Labour delivers, and to our residents, will always be on your side.
Are we getting the clock up at the moment? Yeah, okay. That's fine, thank you. Councillor Hashani.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ealing Council took a 64% reduction in core funding under the last Tory government. And let's cast our mind back, as I know other colleagues have done, briefly to that time. Because the Lib Dems, excuse me, seem to have collective amnesia over what happened. And I know Councillor Oxley, you seemed quite nonchalant about the fact that the cuts made a huge impact to our community. Oh God. In 2010, obviously, Tory austerity began under the Tories, but we know they didn't do it on their own. They were aided and abetted by the Lib Dems, and together the Tories and Lib Dems made a collective decision and they sold out our communities. And the decisions they took and kept taking for many years have had a lasting impact on our communities. The consistent lack of investment that followed and the decline in our spaces and places made our communities feel wary and feeling like they've been left behind. Demand for our statutory services grew whilst funding rapidly declined. And our communities were let down by the Tories and the Lib Dems, let's not forget. But locally, we know what we did. We still did everything we could to run a sustainable council and provide as many services as possible. And yes, we did have to take some difficult decisions. But Mr. Mayor, it's a testament to the good that Labour does when it's in power, that we stand here today with colleagues to debate on a budget which gives us more money to invest, more than we've done in 16 long years. And we will bring pride of place back to our areas, invest in our connected communities even more, and drive purpose and sense of belonging across our 7 towns. Ealing Labour delivers for residents from the cradle to the grave, with more money for play for our young residents, supporting their growth and development of our young people, including £1.6 million for further playground improvements, 3 new play zones in Greenford, Northolt and Perivale. We're investing in a new public art strategy and £50,000 to support local culture hubs, because we know that people want places to meet, to socialise, to gather and connect. We've heard the message from residents, in particularly some of our elderly residents. And as I mentioned earlier, we're investing in upgrading public toilets in Walpole Park, Nathala Fields and Brent Lodge Park. And we know and value the amazing work our volunteers do day in, day out, particularly in our parks, and particularly recently, the fantastic work at the Ealing Parks Foundation at the South Ealing Cemetery. And that's why we're supporting them to do more, with £43,000 for the full restoration of the South Ealing Cemetery chapels. And this is a budget, Mr. Mayor, that invests in people, in place, and in the future of every community across our 7 towns. And it shows that Ealing Labour has delivered and will continue to deliver for the people of Ealing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hashani. Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Councillor Oxley mentioned, last week I was at the High Court to support parents at the judicial review of the children's centre closures. The judicial review was brought on behalf of a child who will be let down if the centre she attends is closed. Councillor
Ball, do you want to get your mic on? Yeah, so thank you, members. Thank you. I'll give you a bit of time. Your microphone, Councillor Ball.
It is on.
Okay.
It is on. I'm just tall.
Okay. It's not lit up. Sorry. I'll give you you can reclaim your time. Carry on, sir.
Okay. The judicial review was brought on behalf of a child who will be let down if the centre she attends is closed. Councillor Blacker was there and not only heard the KC for the child JO outline once more the failure of this administration to consult properly, but Councillor Blacker also heard her very clearly established that the proposals are to close the centres, as there is a clear legal definition of a children's centre, and the so-called repurposing of them is to functions outside this definition. These are closures, and as this is the budget meeting, it is important to point out that they are also financial cuts. Hence, our amendment tonight includes £368,000 to reverse this cut and save the children's centres. I sincerely hope that the judge will make the administration think again in the coming weeks, but voting for our amendment today will take the parents out of their agony and save the children's centres today. Turning to the items in the portfolio I shadow, we are witnessing the obscenity of a Labour council spending council taxpayers' money to demolish affordable housing that they previously paid Henry Construction £40 million to build. Anyone who has looked at the block next to Dean's Gardens can see what a terrible job Henry did building it, and that is showing yet again an abject failure of this Labour administration to properly manage contractors. But the 53 flats at Dean's Gardens is merely the largest of these schemes scheduled to be demolished. As part of the administration's commitment to be fair to towns other than Ealing, the council is also wasting money demolishing 36 homes in Greenford and 16 in Southall. When a similar situation happened in Sutton, a developer going bust, the Lib Dem administration there took rapid action to appoint a new contractor. There were no demolition costs and residents are living in those decent affordable homes tonight. Across the broader housing piece, we see eye-watering increases of an average of 23% in service charges for leaseholders, continuing failure to provide decent, timely repairs for council tenants, and a response that is all too often unsatisfactory and too slow for residents who become homeless through no fault of their own. We have heard ad nauseum in this chamber about all the things this administration would love to do if only the government would give them some more money. But despite getting a more generous settlement this year, a new dawn, as Councillor Brett described it, this administration is still letting residents down, letting children and parents down, and letting leaseholders and tenants down. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. No reference to the amendment there, but Councillor Pam Nagpal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to thank Emily and the officers for their hard work on this year's budget. Ealing Labour is committed to growing our local economy across all 7 towns in our borough. We are focused on delivering growth and prosperity for every resident. Our jobs and skills strategy aligns with the government's modern industrial strategy and the Mayor's London Growth Plan. One of our key priorities is creating good jobs. Jobs that are well paid, sustainable, and that strengthen our local workforce. We have already exceeded our target of creating 10,000 new jobs. We have also surpassed our goal of 2,000 apprenticeship vacancies. We've done this by building strong strategic partnerships, supporting job fairs and business expos, establishing growth sector forums, and working with major stakeholders such as HS2, Heathrow, and the GLA to deliver economic development and embed West Tech London in our borough. This 2026-27 budget shows our continued commitment to businesses and workers. We are investing in employment and skills services and strengthening partnerships with training providers. We are also continuing our investment in the real living wage. This budget once again supports a business rate discount for the first 100 newly accredited businesses, worth up to twice the cost of accreditation. We have transformed Ealing from one of the lowest ranking boroughs for real living wage accreditations to the highest ranked Outer London borough. Over 1,000 workers have benefited from a pay rise as a direct result of our commitment. This budget also invests in regeneration, infrastructure, environmental improvements, and public facilities, strengthening the wider economic environment. We are making our high streets more accessible, safer, and more welcoming, places people feel proud of and want to spend time in. That supports our evening and nighttime economy and helps create even more jobs. Ealing Labour delivers, and with this budget, we will keep delivering. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Gagpal. Councillor Summers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And can I start by paying tribute to my colleague and friend, Councillor Dr. Aisha Raza, whose shocking loss last month is still being felt profoundly by those of us on the Labour benches and by those people in Greenford and across the borough. She was a dedicated comrade, a good person, and cared profoundly about the people of Ealing, and in particular about the NHS. This speech, like Councillor Blacker, will be my last in the council chamber, but I can beat his 12 years. I've been here for 16 years. I just, if you indulge me, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to say a few words about my ward, Northolt Mandeville, which I've served to the best of my ability for those 16 years. I'm absolutely delighted that this year Northolt Mandeville will see the arrival of two long-delayed projects which I have campaigned for during my time on the council: a completely rebuilt new Northolt High School, now rebranded as Islip Manor High School, and step-free access at Northolt Tube Station. These will be absolute game changers, which will transform the lives of young people, those with mobility issues, and many others in my ward. There are other things which I would dearly love to see in my ward: a community centre for the racecourse estate, the reopening of Islip Manor Community Centre, and the provision of more youth clubs. But I will have to leave that to my colleagues to finish that work if the voters see fit to elect them in May, which I'm sure they will. Moving on to the budget, I was first elected in May 2010. The same year, Labour went into opposition, saw the start of this period of austerity supervised by the Conservative Party, and for a while their accomplices in the Liberal Democrats. Ealing Council's finances have been decimated in the intervening years, and we only get a fraction of the amount of money from central government we did prior to then. But the Labour group in that period has acted very prudently and wisely, and has taken tough decisions, such as the decision about the future of this very building, Percival House, to ensure we avoid the chronic financial crises faced by several other London boroughs and councils across the country. Now, in the spring of 2026, there are signs of hope, despite rising demands for our services and increasing burden of costs. For the first time in 16 years, we've been able to balance our books without the need to make cuts to frontline services, and we are going to make investments such as £860,000 on 50 mobile CCTV cameras, which will complement the network of fixed cameras. I know what a massive benefit CCTV cameras have been in combating antisocial behaviour on the Islip Manor estate. And we're also spending £105,000 on 50 new alley gating schemes across the borough, which I again have experience of. Given the cost of living crisis, this budget seeks to maximise the support we give to those who are hardest hit, and it will also supply the real living wage to workers in the supply chain who were previously not receiving it. All in all, it's an extremely excellent budget, and I'm proud to be part of the Labour group which has produced it with the best interests of the people of Ealing at its heart. I'm sure it will lead to 3 Labour candidates, Councillor Rice, Councillor Moffat, and my replacement being elected by the people of Northolt Mandeville on the 7th of May. I commend the budget and extend my best wishes to every one of you in the chamber, all my residents in Northolt Mandeville, and everyone in the borough over the next 4 years.
Thank you, Councillor Summers. Councillor Kumar. Just for the minutes, Councillor Kumar, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We meet tonight to debate a budget that will shape the lives of people across our borough for the year ahead. And we do so at a time when families, businesses, and councils are feeling the strain of a difficult economic climate. Locally, residents tell us the same things every week. They want safer streets, cleaner neighborhoods, and high streets that feel supported. They want services that are reliable, responsive, and properly funded. Yet, the budget before us does not give them that confidence. Instead, it asks residents to pay yet another tax rise, the latest in the long line of increases. Households have been forced to absorb, not forgetting the Stop and Shop, causing inconvenience to many and affecting businesses. People are paying more every year, but they're not seeing the improvements they expect. Streets are not cleaner, town centres are not safer, services are not more responsive. Residents are being asked to contribute more while receiving less, and they are right to question where their money is going. This is not a criticism of the officers who work tirelessly to keep this borough running. It is a reflection of the choices made in this budget, choices that do not match the priorities residents raise with us week after week. I want to thank Emily and the officer team for all the work that they've done. This budget relies heavily on short-term fixes and one-off pots of money that do not address long-term pressures. The Chancellor's spring budget was presented as a plan for stability, but many independent commentators highlighted serious weaknesses. Analysts noted that the budget did not address the structural pressures, and when national funding fails to keep pace with demand, councils are left with two options: cut services or raise council tax. Tonight's papers show that this administration has chosen to do both. Residents deserve a budget that reflects their priorities: investment in the essentials, support for the most vulnerable, and a clear strategy for the future. They deserve a council that stands up for them, challenges national decisions when they harm our communities, and fights for fair funding for local services. We cannot simply manage decline. We cannot keep asking residents to pay for less. We must demand better for Ealing, for our residents, and for the future of this borough. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kumar. Councillor Johnson.
No, it's working now. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I start by obviously thanking Councillor Blacker, who I've worked with over the past set of years. He's a very articulate and intelligent young man. We'll miss him from a campaigning point of view. And it's very unfortunate that the Liberals and the Conservatives, but particularly Liberals, don't understand his new view of making the members and the staff of children's centres do outreach work. He said it numerous times now, but I don't think people seem to understand him. We will miss him, and I'm sure whoever replaces him will be have a difficult steps to fill, or shoes to fill, I should say. I also say goodbye and all the best to Councillor Sumner, and he's quite right. He has worked for Northolt High School over the years, and last year when I was mayor, I went to help break the ground there for the brand new school. But I wish him all the best for the future, and he did work hard for that school. Councillor Donnelly is quite right. For the first time in many, many years, he's able to stand up and be positive about a budget, because he hasn't got to stand up and list all the cuts we have to make. I think you all know, and some of you have mentioned it, that between the years 2010 and 2020, we had to face 16 billions worth of cuts, and that was extremely hard. So I'm really grateful that the Labour government understands that we do need to have 3-year budgets for planning. It's going to make Emily's job a little bit easier, but let's not pretend that we won't still have all the pressures of certain groups, our aged population, of which I'm one of them now, children's services, people with disabilities. So we still have all those problems in the future. So it doesn't go away. My colleagues have said about all the good things that we're going to do, hopefully, within the next 3 years, and I welcome all of those. I don't really know what's wrong with the Liberals tonight, except that they sounded like they were making a party political broadcast. But some of their alternative suggestions about saving paper, well, honestly, that is a bit sort of a bit dated, to be honest. I'm old enough to still like paper, but many of my colleagues, as you see, carry their surfaces about, as some of you do as well. But they really didn't have many sensible suggestions at all. And I think you really need to have a one-to-one with Councillor Blacker before he finishes to understand what's happening in the children's centres. Of course, Councillor Young was quite complimentary tonight, and I commend him on his speech. But I think for the first time at a budget meeting, he hasn't mentioned gold or Gordon Brown. A bit of a miracle, that. But no, I think he made some very sensible and thoughtful comments, as did Councillor Gallant. But I don't know what was wrong with Gary. I might have to have a chat to Gary later.
Okay.
We all do our best. I think so. Oh, that's me
Councillor
finished.
Johnson.
Can I just say very quickly that the key words from Ealing Labour delivers and Ealing Labour listens to people. And I commend the budget.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Looking at the Liberal Democrat amendment, I mean, it is that deja vu, let's just stop printing. But I look in all these desks and there's very few of us with paper here. I've got my notebook and a sheet. Maybe some other parties need to look at how much paper is in front of them and reflect on. But there we go. So, and I have to say, going around the building, I rarely in front of officers with sheets of paper. Digital, get with the times. Paper that we print is necessarily needed as part of communications. And if you want to do less of that, I don't think that would go down well on the doorstep. I'm talking about doorsteps. So please, when you go down talking about children's centres and the services that offer, please do explain that we want to keep buildings open. That's what you're going to say, but have less in them, because that's what you actually are proposing. Yeah. Whereas we're actually saying we actually want to go out to meet people and be where they are and actually go to them on their terms, go more outreach. And I don't know how many times it's been said, there will be an increase in service provision across the whole borough in every single town. That's just a matter of fact. So please give the full picture, give the full story. Yeah. The lack of ambition in terms of my portfolio that's recommended this is in this amendment is quite stark. So and lack of understanding as well. So more recycling bins. Well, maybe a better solution is just go to trade and do a little query and get them to come to your door and collect from your door. You don't need the hassle of going to a recycling bin. That'll save you £48,000 from your amendment. Not bad going, just for a few words of advice. In terms of fly tipping, we've done at least 15 interventions in the last 8 months across the borough. So 15 interventions that will help to reduce recycling and tidy up our neighbourhoods. And we've got a consistent trend of reducing fly tipping across the borough. And in our target areas, substantial improvements. We're not perfect, but we're on a long way there. But the lack of ambition there is striking. I would welcome the Lib Dems committing to a circular economy rather than just trying to keep to the old-fashioned linear, use resources, consume it, dispose of it. also, I would welcome any of that commitment to Reacton so that you can be on board with what we're doing across West London and our pioneering work in Reacton there. I would welcome your commitment to that. So looking in the wider realm of decarbonising, we've got a housing refit programme. 600 homes are going to have a deep refit. No mention, nothing that's happening in there. Such a lack of concern for the climate, such a lack of concern for biodiversity, what we've got here, no investment going in there from your amendments. So I commend the budget. We've delivered lots and we're going to do more again. Thank you very much.
Councillor Driscoll. Councillor Steed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, let's maybe start. Councillor Summers, I recall the meeting. The first time I met you was at the council.
Sorry, just one moment, Councillor. And this goes to everyone. If you talk to me, then it goes through the mic and we can be heard. If you don't talk to me, it drifts across. Thank you, Councillor Steed, if you can. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I'll best behaviour. I remember that meeting in May when there were quite formal introductory meetings, and we all sat around tables. I was a new councillor in 2010, and so were you, sir. I wish you well in the future. Through gritted teeth, I also wish the very best to Councillor Blacker, but nonetheless, I wish him well in his future journeys. Okay, 9.5 weeks to go. It's not long, is it? It will come around soon enough. That is how long until yet another day of days for Labour. Nationally, it may be the demise of the current Prime Minister. Locally, will we see the demise of the current leader of the council and an Ealing council chamber full of new faces? From the extent to which all Labour members have mentioned the Lib Dems and the Lib Dem budget, I get the feeling that maybe there's an element of concern that maybe some of the faces currently here may not be here after May the 7th. I think it will extend beyond Councillor Blacker. Will we be surprised? Well, we won't be surprised. For too long, Ealing Labour have taken the residents of Ealing for granted. Their numerous U-turns nationally make one dizzy. Here in Ealing, their efforts to refocus on frontline services only go so far, but not far enough. People will recall the many mistakes, and if I can refer to the area that I shadow, such as the poor handling the adult social services, such as the poor handling of issues such as the demise of Careline, the clumsy way Ealing community transport was effectively dropped and replaced by a substandard service. In addition, we now have the reorganisation of services leading to the demise of the Sir Michael Flanders Centre in Acton. Meanwhile, efforts to progress independent living continue with little success. So poor is it that the current cabinet member responsible herself called it an appalling record in a House meeting. Finally, we now have the resignation of the strategic director, one of the many senior staff who have walked.
Well,
one of too many.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry.
Staff.
Point of order. Point of order.
One moment, thank you. Before you get, sorry, I don't think it's appropriate to talk about any individual staff's employments, lack thereof, without their permission. So
Mr.
if you could withdraw that, that would be useful.
Mr. Mayor, if you wish me to withdraw, I withdraw.
Thank you. Carry on then. Thank you.
All I'm referring to.
Well, no, that's right. Without caveat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
More and more residents are saying it is time for Labour to pack their bags. The residents want cleaner streets, fewer fly tips, better, safer pavements and roads. I move our amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Steed. Councillor Baines. Thank you.
Thank you. I rise to support this Labour budget because it protects residents and invests in our borough. I am proud that this Labour budget reflects those values. This is a budget that protects residents, invests in our borough and plans responsibly for the future. Let us be clear, This council is delivering a 423 million revenue budget to support essential services for our residents. That means social care for our elderly, support for vulnerable children, housing for families in need. This is not abstract, this is real. This is a council investing in Ealing's future. This budget delivers a 1.3 billion capital programme investing in housing, schools, infrastructure and our communities, including over 190 million in housing and environmental projects and 78 million of capital investment without borrowing, ensuring financial sustainability. This is long-term investment, responsible leadership, and this is Labour delivering. This budget recognises the reality of rising demand. Demand for adult social care is growing. Demand for housing is growing. Demand for support is growing. Labour understands something fundamental. We do not abandon the vulnerable, we support them. That is why this budget continues to direct significant resources to those who need them most. But Mr. Mayor, we must also speak honestly about the political reality. We see nationally and locally a slow erosion of responsibility. The opposition talks about numbers, we deal with people. They talk about ideology, we deal with reality. In my own ward of Dormers Wells, I regularly see the pressures that families face, especially around housing and overcrowding. They come to us not for politics, but for help. And because of this Labour Council, we are able to step in. That is what this budget delivers: home, support, dignity. And when we look beyond our borough, the contrast couldn't be clearer. In neighbouring Conservative-run councils, we see cuts to frontline services, rising costs and residents paying the price. Cuts without compassion, failure without accountability. Mr. Mayor, this Labour budget is different. It is built on fairness, responsibility and Labour values. It protects our most vulnerable residents. This is not just a financial plan. It is a statement of who we are. We are the party that protects. We are the party that invests. And above all, we are the party that delivers. I am proud to support this Labour budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Baines. Councillor Dear.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, in one of our budget meetings in the Labour group, one of our members, Councillor Murtaza, Dr. Murtaza, he made a very simple remark. He said that in my 4 years on this council, this is the first time budget setting and budget discussions have been musical to my ears. The same thing that Councillor Donnelly has also said, that it's been an enjoyable experience. Mr. Mayor, Councillor Johnson and I have been around a bit longer, and I can tell you what the experience has been, at least in the last 15 years. It is all talk of austerity, cuts to the bone, graph of dooms, directors of finance tearing their hair out, and many of them left. And sometimes I think, Mr. Mayor, it may be one of the reasons why I have gone prematurely grey so completely in the last 15 years. But be that as it may, Mr. Mayor, it's the first time that we're not talking about cuts to our grant. We're talking about £60 million extra over the next 3 years from the Labour government. It's the first time we were talking about not cutting services, but investing in public services. It's the first time we are talking not about putting up charges for our services, but for cutting charges. So I think, Mr. Mayor, my colleagues have gone through all the new money and the new areas like 50 new CCTV cameras, tidy teams, mega skips for the scourge of flight tipping, new play zones, investment in our children's centers and early years, all that is there. But I want to share with you something about potholes. Now, we have talked about potholes many times in this council, and potholes have become a symbol of the broken Britain that Tories have left for us. Some days ago, Mr. Mayor, about 10 days ago when Harbhajan and I were driving to Town Hall to take part in the candle memorial for late Councillor Aisha Raza. It was pouring rain all the way from our home to Town Hall. And on Greenfield Road driving, there were so many potholes that I was really worried about the health of our glorious old Skoda. And I said to Harbhajan that I'm not going to write an email, I'm going to see the highways engineer. But a few days later, on the same road, all those 19 potholes have been repaired. All the 19 potholes, and 3,000 more every year. So I think, Mr. Mayor, as others have said, new monies, Ealing Council is delivering, Ealing Council is inside of a resident. Thank you very much, and I support the budget, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Dear. Councillor Ponting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This budget arrives at a critical moment. Residents in Ealing are being squeezed. Inflation remains stubbornly higher than our neighbours. Growth has been downgraded again. Local unemployment is rising, and for the first time, youth unemployment is now higher than the EU average. Councillor Brett, 18 months after the new dawn that you spoke about of this Labour government, taxes are up, employment is down, and 1 in 7 young people are not in work, education, or training. Councillor Mason, you talk about showing young people that they have a future, but in reality, they are bearing the brunt of Labour's economic failure. With council tax rising by another 4.99%, the average household is now paying £800 more per year than they were a decade ago. The question residents can rightly ask is, are they getting £800 worth of better services? The leader says all that you'll hear tonight is anger. Yes, we are angry on behalf of our residents who look around and see that their streets are dirtier, not cleaner. They feel less safe, not more. They see boarded up shops and declining footfall. They see police front counters closing and officer numbers cut by Sadiq Khan. They're entitled to ask, after 16 years of Labour in Ealing, what's the point of another 4 years of Keir Starmer's Labour councillors? The one thing that Ealing can be glad of is that the Lib Dems don't have their hands on the levers of power. Out of the 7 councils having to raise their council tax above 5%, the majority are Lib Dem councils. And Councillor Gallant said, we do support better street cleaning, support fixing our roads and reversing damaging policies like the Stop and Shop Plus. However, if they think the solution to these funding challenges is simply printing a little less, it shows how ill prepared they actually are. Will they be increasing digital exclusion by cutting paper consultations, for example? It's disingenuous. Can the people of Ealing really trust what they have to say? I know on the doorstep they like to talk tough. They talk tough on crime. It was Lib Dem peers who voted against mandatory sentences for sex offenders and domestic abusers. They say they are the only party fighting over development, yet they voted for a 17-storey tower block in Acton or abstained on a 21-storey tower that was due here at Percival House. They say they oppose building to metropolitan open land, but not when they voted for it at Grove Farm. That is not consistent opposition. They are political chameleons. We believe in a positive vision for Ealing, one that understands that a strong local economy is vital for a strong borough. A vision where there is a zero tolerance approach to crime and antisocial behaviour. A borough that is clean, and finally where fly tipping is taken, we get a grip of fly tipping. And a council that is accessible and that truly listens to its residents. On the 7th of May, that is our vision, a safer, cleaner and more prosperous borough.
Councillor Nagpal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, tonight we are discussing something this council has not been able to achieve in 16 years. A balanced budget delivered without cutting frontline services. After everything local government finance has been through, this is no small feat. And it is something that this Labour administration should be proud of. But let us remind ourselves why frontline services were ever put at risk in the first place. The answer sits across the room. Councils were subjected to £16 billion of real terms funding cuts, a hollowing out of local government that left boroughs like ours carrying the strain. It has taken Labour in power to deliver funding reform, a fairer settlement, and would you believe it, Mr. Mayor, a 3-year funding settlement and a real terms funding increase in each of those years. Forgive my enthusiasm, Mr. Mayor, but after so many years of short-term fixes and financial fog, I was beginning to think that a medium-term financial plan was something of a mythical creature. But let's not suggest the pressures have disappeared. Demand in adult social care and children's services remains high, and the cost of temporary accommodation continues to stretch our finances. Despite these demand pressures, Ealing Labour has always taken careful, responsible decisions to ensure stability, and because of this, coupled with an improved settlement, we are now able to deliver visible, practical investment in the priorities residents care about most, all while keeping council tax low. Some of these are safer streets through stronger enforcement, better lighting and expanded CCTV to tackle crime and antisocial behaviour, cleaner neighbourhoods with dedicated tidy teams and lower waste charges that both support residents and maintain pride in our borough. Labour has a long-term plan to fix the foundations of the British economy, and the steps taken so far clearly demonstrates this. The plan enables Ealing to deliver this budget, prudent and recognising ongoing economic challenges, but ambitious and delivering what our residents want us to, whilst also aligning with our wider missions, sustainable growth, genuinely affordable homes, the best start for every child, tackling health inequalities, decisive climate action, cracking down on crime, all while being relentless in protecting taxpayers' money. Mr. Mayor, this is not just a balanced budget, it is a resilient one, and it demonstrates that when Labour leads, we deliver. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nafo. Councillor Nisha.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will speak briefly to the budget, but as this is also my final speech in this chamber, I hope you will indulge me for a few moments for a heartfelt reflection. I was elected to this council at age 25 to represent Pitsanger and to serve the borough of Ealing, where I was born, raised, and chose to make my home. I have walked these streets my entire life. My family is here, my memories are here. This borough is not an abstract responsibility to me. It is home. It is part of who I am. And to serve the place that helped shape you is an extraordinary privilege and one I have never taken lightly. But before I go further, I want to acknowledge the empty seat beside me. Aisha should be seated here. She sat beside me for 3 years, and I'll remember her friendship and kindness above all. Her generosity and quiet encouragement reminded me that public service is ultimately about how we treat each other. Speaking in that spirit tonight feels right. 3 months after I was first elected, a senior officer asked whether I intended to stand again. I had barely begun my term, yet the question remained with me, because over these last 4 years, as for so many residents, life has unfolded. Careers grow, people take on new responsibilities, people build families, plan futures, and navigate change alongside public service. That is not a weakness in a councillor. It is a strength. It is life, and it is what makes us dedicated representatives of the people we serve. And if we want modern politics that reflects working age residents, young families and professionals, our expectations of public service must evolve too. Balance cannot mean fitting one narrow model of availability. Commitment can't mean giving up the rest of yourself. And experience cannot be measured purely in years served. So if we want real sustainable growth and pride in place, this chamber must reflect that ambition too. So as we look to pass this budget, and I recognise the work it's taken to steer this council through years of financial uncertainty, I hope we also reflect on the kind of leadership this borough deserves in the years ahead. Leadership that genuinely looks forward, that makes space for new perspectives, and that is confident enough to welcome challenge and brave enough to think outside of the box. The seat beside me is empty tonight. It reminds us that our time here is finite. What matters is what we do with it. I leave proud to have served Pitsanger, grateful to the residents who trusted me at age 25, and certain that my commitment to Ealing does not end here. I care deeply about this vibrant borough and its communities, and I hope we are always brave enough to accommodate generational change for the future of this great borough. Thank you.
Thank you. And the guillotine has fallen. So we'll move to the, we've heard the debate. An amendment has been moved and seconded. As it involves a budget matter, we will undertake a recorded vote on the amendment and then following that, the motion. I will go to the one moment, please. Councillor Donnelly, would you like to?
I think Councillor Busuttil has the opportunity to respond to his amendment.
Let me take some advice. My understanding is the guillotine has fallen. I mean, there was an opportunity for the whole room to raise the guillotine and it wasn't done so. The question is now put.
Yeah, if Councillor Donnelly is not going to speak, then I won't speak in essence.
No. So the question, so just to confirm, nobody raised the guillotine. It would have taken 3 members to raise the guillotine and it wasn't raised and it's gone 9:30. So the question would be put about the amendment.
Mr. Mayor, convention is that at the point the guillotine falls, we move to rights of reply.
Okay, right. So the Constitution says if somebody had raised the guillotine, and we wouldn't have been having this conversation, but it wasn't. Okay.
On a point of order,
yeah,
Mr.
Thank
Mayor,
you.
on a point of order. So I just want to clarify, Mr. Mayor, that what we're about to do is a departure from decades worth of convention for this council.
Okay.
And if we are to depart from decades worth of convention from this, I would like it read into the record why that is the case.
No problem. So I've taken advice, okay? And the advice I've been given is the Constitution means that we don't have to do it, but it's at my discretion. So I will give right of reply to Councillor Busuttil and Councillor Donnelly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mayor. In the essence of speed, I'll be brief. There's a lot of talk this evening about the Lib Dems in coalition government, which seems a heck of a long time ago now. But when we was in government, it wasn't all bad because we introduced the pupil premium, which was a fund to improve the outcomes of disadvantaged children. We also increased the tax-free threshold, which under Labour hardly ever went up. So both of which Ealing residents had benefited from. So Councillor Blacker, now from Councillor Bowles' speech, he attended the court case, and it said in that court case as well there was no clear plan for outreach. So if the early years budget has been doubled, then save the children's centres. And lastly, Councillor Johnson, I know every year you mention about the printing being in our amendment. If there's money to be saved on printing, then it's going to be in our amendment. I think the self-congratulatory nature this evening of the speeches, particularly on the Labour group, doesn't reflect what is being said on the doors. So I think, Mr. Mayor, is that there's time for change. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Busuttil, for your quick response. And Councillor Donnelly, finally, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry for the confusion. I want to start saying that I wonder this might be the last time for one reason or another, that Councillor Young and I spar in this particular way on this particular occasion. And I want to say thank you to him for his professionalism and skill over 48 years. It is the last time he does that, not least because, as he demonstrated tonight, 48 years tells you how to read a budget paper, tells you how to get to the nub of things, enables you to explain very cogently why the government's approach to this has been excellent, enables you to explain why the council was in a position to respond readily to that. The only surprise is that the conclusion of all of that was to vote against the budget. Similarly, councillors Gallant and Kumar gave what appeared to be speeches from last year, since what they said was, you know, more for less, when in fact the entirety of the budget proposal is about how much more people are going to get. And the notion that you could, after 15 years of council tax being flat in real terms with government grant halving, that we could, any council, have delivered more with rising social care demand is just fantasy island stuff. I don't even know what the position of the Liberal Democrats was. I'd love to satirise it. Councillor Malcolm demonstrated that a Liberal never changes his spots. But genuinely, we seem to move from a situation where last year they made a series of improbable and unwise saving suggestions to deliver improbable and unwise spending commitments, to a position this year where they made a series of improbable and unwise saving suggestions to deliver precisely what we're proposing here, but less so. And I don't understand how they can stand up today and claim that the people of the borough want what they're proposing and not what Ealing Labour is saying. There will be new faces in this chamber after the election. There'll be Labour faces, and I look forward, with a bit of luck, to sitting among them. I'm happy to confirm my move to the budget.
Thank you. So we now have heard the debates, and the amendment has been moved and seconded. You agree with the amendment, dear? Okay, thank you, Councillor Wall. He has voted. As the amendment involves a budget matter, we do have to undertake a recorded vote on the amendment, and then following that, the motion. Chief Executive will therefore read out the member's name, and we will record their vote in the minutes. Mr. Clements, call the roll.
Councillor Shaw.
Against.
Councillor M. Ahmed.
Against.
Councillor S. Ahmed. Councillor Baclini.
Against.
Councillor Baines.
Against.
Councillor Blacker.
Against.
Councillor Brett.
Against.
Councillor Cordeer. Councillor Deer. Councillor Dinser. Councillor Donnelly.
Against.
Councillor Douglas.
Against.
Councillor Driscoll. Councillor Gordon. Councillor Hamidi.
Against.
Councillor Hashani. Councillor Iqbal. Councillor Jammu.
Against.
Councillor Johnson. Councillor Kelly.
I'll abstain, thank you, no vote.
Councillor Khan. Councillor Kingston.
Against.
Councillor Newstub.
Against.
Councillor Coley. Councillor Mahfouz.
Against.
Councillor Mahmood.
Against.
Councillor D. Martin. Councillor J. Martin. Councillor Mason.
Against.
Councillor Midder.
Against.
Councillor Moffat.
Against.
Councillor Mohammed. Councillor Mohan. Councillor Mataza. Councillor Kim Kaur Nagpal.
Against.
Councillor Kamaljit Kaur Nagpal.
Against.
Councillor Nijar.
Against.
Councillor Kwanzaa.
Against.
Councillor Rai.
Against.
Councillor Rice.
Against.
Councillor Sharma.
Against.
Councillor Summers. Councillor Teig. Councillor Elwall,
Against.
Councillor Arwall, Councillor Wesson,
Against.
Councillor Nand.
Councillor Busuttil, Councillor Ball,
For.
Councillor Hirsch,
For.
Councillor Malcolm, Councillor Oxley,
For.
Councillor Steed, Councillor Zizamos, Councillor Kumar, Councillor
Sorry, for.
Councillor Conti, Councillor
For.
Conti,
For. May I repeat?
Councillor
For.
Gallant, Councillor Young, Councillor Padder, Councillor Pianand,
For. Against.
I guess you're on the roll when you. Now, that is the recorded vote on the amendment, and the amendment falls, despite there being some unusual votes. Now, we'll go to the vote on the budget, and this is also recorded. Mr. Clements, will you call the roll, please?
Councillor Shaw,
For.
Councillor M. Ahmed,
For.
Councillor S. Ahmed,
For.
Councillor Pianand,
For.
Councillor Baclini,
For.
Councillor Baines, Councillor Blacker,
For.
Councillor Brett,
For.
Councillor Cordeer, Councillor Deer, Councillor Dinser, Councillor Donnelly,
For.
Councillor Douglas,
For.
Councillor Driscoll, Councillor Gordon, Councillor Hamidi,
For.
Councillor Hashani, Councillor Iqbal, Councillor Jammu,
For.
Councillor Johnson,
For.
Councillor Kelly,
No vote.
Councillor Kingston,
For.
Councillor Newstub,
For.
Councillor Coley, Councillor Mahfouz,
For.
Councillor Mahmood,
For.
Councillor D. Martin, Councillor J. Martin, Councillor Mason,
For.
Councillor Midder,
For.
Councillor Moffat,
For.
Councillor Mohammed, Councillor Mohan, Councillor Mataza,
For.
Councillor Kim Kaur Nagpal,
For.
Councillor Kamaljit Kaur Nagpal,
For.
Councillor Nishar,
For.
Councillor Kwanzaa,
For.
Councillor Rai,
For.
Councillor Rice,
For.
Councillor Sharma,
For.
Councillor Summers, Councillor Tighe,
For.
Councillor Elwall,
For.
Councillor Arwall, Councillor Wesson,
For.
Councillor Busuttil,
Against.
Councillor Ball,
Against.
Councillor Hirsch,
Against.
Councillor Malcolm, Councillor Oxley,
Against.
Councillor Steed, Councillor Zizamos, Councillor Kumar, Councillor
Against.
Conti, Councillor Gallant, Councillor Young.
The motion and the 20, everyone been called? Yes, thank you very much. The 2026-27 budget strategy motion budget has passed. That's item number 8, pay policy statement. I call on Councillor Donnelly to move.
I move, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have a seconder?
Seconded, Mr. Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Shaw. Is that agreed? That is carried. We have item number 9, Members Allowance Scheme 2026 to 27. I call on Councillor Donnelly to move the Members Allowance Scheme.
I move, Mr. Mayor.
Is that seconded?
Seconded, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Shaw, thank you. Is that agreed? Okay.
That's not agreed, so could we have a vote on that, please?
We can have a show of hands. All those in agreement? Okay. All those against? And any abstains? No, and that is agreed. Item number 10 changes the constitution. This item has been withdrawn. Item number 11. Amendment to the Statement of Licensing Policy 2025 to 2030. It's amazing to say you're saying that date out loud. I call on Councillor Kamaljeet Kaur Nagpal to move the report.
I move the report, Mr.
Is that seconded?
Seconded.
Councillor Munir Ahmed. Is that agreed? That's agreed. Thank you very much. Now, I believe that's all council business. Few words, just to say, there was lots of speeches tonight from people who won't be in the chamber next, and I'd like to just thank everyone for how they behaved in the main when I've been in the chair. And it's an invidious task to talk about who's been here and who's going to be here, because the voters have a funny way of deciding for us. So I'd just like to thank